Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Live Real Talk. It is the 10th of April 2020 and the figures are standing at 1,614,822. Yes, and South Africa is still leading in the continent with confirmed figures of 1,934 confirmed cases. Of course, Kenya, our beloved country Kenya, we are at 184 cases. Total number of deaths is 7 and total recovered cases is 12. Those are the statistics currently regarding this pandemic of coronavirus that has hit the world hard and have everything to be on standstill. This pandemic, of course, has caused some ripple effects and affecting various spheres of life, from social, economic, physical, spiritual, to name but a few. More often than not, Kenyans blame absenteeism of parenthood to the rowdy behavior of their kids. A sizable number of relationships have been breaking because of quote-unquote lack of time. Lots of governments globally, because of this pandemic, have actually encouraged their citizens to work from home. And the work from home policy and quarantine and isolation has been the order of the day globally. So this actually has made up a lot of relationships and quote-unquote spoiled some of relationships. And that's why this afternoon we'll be looking at the social impact of this COVID-19. And right with me in studio, we are having Dr. Rukia Muhammad, a psychologist from the Muslim Psychologists and Counselors Association. Inshallah, later on in the studio, we're going to be joined by Sheikh Hassan Omar Sukian, who's the Deputy Chief Qadi at the Judiciary. And of course, later on, we're going to be joined by Mr. Shadrach. We're going to be joined by Shadrach Masika, an artist who's based in China, to look at what's happening in China. We're going to be joined by as well Dennis Simiyu, a geriatric and community health professional based in Canada. Last but not least, going to have Mariam Omar, a BBC journalist based in Sweden. Ms. Rukia Muhammad, Assalamu alaikum, based in London. I beg your pardon. Thanks so much. I beg your pardon. Mariam Omar, based in London, a BBC journalist based in London. Ms. Rukia Muhammad, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much for making time and joining us on Live Real Talk Special Edition. Ms. Rukia, we're looking at the social impact of this COVID-19. So to begin us off, in your own words, how would you describe the social impact of this COVID-19, particularly in this Kenyan community?
How I can describe this, the impact, the social impact, we have seen people are going through anxiety, people are going through depression. The isolation also, for some people, it's causing, maybe some people are okay, some people are also getting into quarrels because of being isolated in the same room for a long time. So it has impacts, and there's the denial, the impact is huge socially.
I mean, you just mentioned depression based on this self-isolation, because of course from last year actually the mental health topic has been quite recurrent, especially in Kenya, and the number of suicide cases increasing by the day, and it formed basically a national dialogue, even the president taking this responsibility personally. Now with this pandemic, do we see an escalation of the same case?
Yeah, the escalation of suicide, so far we haven't seen any, or maybe they're not being reported, but we know there's a lady who committed, so the South African lady who committed suicide, and also there's also the lady in Samburu also who committed because of the COVID. She thought like her symptoms were showing it as if she has it, and she wasn't able to cope with it. We saw someone in Msambweni also who was killed by the community because they thought that the person would
contaminate the rest of the community.
Exactly, yeah. So we are seeing that. We don't know if there are others that have not been reported, but as it is now, their levels of anxiety are high, which is normal given this abnormal situation. So people will feel anxious, people will be irritable, people will react in different ways, the kids will react in different ways, the teenagers different. We have the people who are vulnerable, the elderly and the and also the ones who have maybe living with a chronic illness. They'll also react differently, and this is a reality that we are living with.
Now that you've taken that threat, Ms. Rukia Mohammed, allow me to ask. Last week we had your colleague from the MPCA, Mr. Riziki Ahmad, in the studio, and we discussed more or less about the psychological effect and what's being done. And she told us, she briefed us that something was done along those lines to try and help the situation. Any news so far this week? Anything new that has happened in addressing the same challenge?
What we are doing as MPCA, we are doing social media campaigns whereby we do posters and we put messages, encouraging messages, which we tell people maybe how to social distance. We tell people how to deal with the anxiety, for example, that this is a normal. You see, what we have to know and remember is that this pandemic is not a usual thing. It's not something that we've dealt with before. So when someone feels that they are anxious, then this is a normal reaction. But now what do you do about it? There is the issue of, okay, at least maybe take some time off from social media. There is the issue of how are you taking a balanced diet? Are you maybe doing some breathing exercises? Are you also exercising physically apart from that? So we've been circulating such messages. We are on call. If someone calls and they feel like whatever they are going through, like the anxiety is overwhelming, we are on call and we talk to them. Personally, I've talked to 1 or 2 people because of the anxiety, and alhamdulillah, after follow-up, they are at least coping, because people need to know this is a normal situation, because it's surprising them that, oh, why am I so irritable? Why am I so, like on guard and all that? That is a normal reaction. But at least when you do 1, 2, 3 things like the breathing, when you're feeling like that, then you're okay.
Interesting. Taking a case in point of the case that you just told us about in Sambweni, where a person was attacked because he was quote unquote suspected to be having this virus, the coronavirus, and the community basically feared that if at all it was true, then he would further spread it within the community. So talk of such case, the family is most probably going through a very tough time psychologically, correct?
Correct.
Thank you so much. So with the posters and social media campaign, and of course with this time, tough times, that we're being encouraged to be physically at a distance, even people are working from home. So what are you doing to reach people at the mashinani level who might not be able to access social media or maybe mainstream media?
At the mashinani level, we haven't really gone down there, but we have counselors from all over. We have in MPCA, we have counselors from Nairobi, we have counselors from Mombasa and from all other areas. And what we've been advocating is that whatever we are doing in Nairobi, they replicate it in mashinani where they are at. But so far, I don't know what the government is doing, but I hope also with the call hotline numbers, they can be able also to reach, because even if they don't have social media, at least we know people have their mobile platform. They can call and they can access a counselor for telecounseling.
Okay, thank you so much. That's fair enough, Ms. Rukia, and we really do appreciate, and we just hope that may Allah make it easy for you and in addressing this pandemic. Again, besides just MPCA, who else are you working with? Are you working with maybe Red Cross or the government, which might be having a deeper roots and a wider network maybe to reach the community at large? Of course, bearing in mind that we're having the physical distance guideline that we should adhere to. So how are you doing this particular counseling, and how are you reaching out to these people who might, again, don't have social media or mainstream media to communicate, so they don't have this information? They're in the village, someone is a farmer, his routine is all about waking up and going to the shamba and all that. So how do you reach that person?
In Nairobi, we are working with the Kenya medical, Muslim medical and practitioners, and at least they get to give us the specification of the Ministry of Health on what we are supposed to do. And by and large, I think this pandemic, it's going to affect people in those areas, the mashinani, and we want to see what the government also will put in place. But also I can see there are other people, not only counselors, who are also trying to reach out. The other day I saw some youth who were doing some graffitis like showing people how to social distance, because this is something that we have to do together as a community, because as you said, we might not be able to reach to those people at the mashinani so the way it is supposed to be, but we are still waiting for the government to tell us. But now, like the way they were describing it is that when they started doing these graffitis on the walls, they actually started noticing that people are now doing like their taps around. And another thing we are doing also at our level is translating these posters or the video clips or the short clips we do into different languages, because at times you can be communicating in English and someone does not understand you. So when you translate this into a language that someone at the mashinani who hears that clip, maybe someone at the shamba doesn't have that, but maybe the daughter or the son has a phone, and they can actually say, okay, I have heard this, it is in Kikamba, they understand what you're saying. At least that one, you reach them in one way or another.
Thank you so much. And of course, I'd like to announce and acknowledge the presence of Sheikh Hassan Omar Sukian, who's the Deputy Chief Qadi based in Nairobi, the Upper Hill. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sheikh Omar. Welcome to our studios, inshallah, and we'll really like to hear from you. Of course, now we're joined by Mariam Omar, who is a BBC World reporter, who is a BBC World editor, Swahili editor to be precise, based in London, UK, to give us insight on what's happening in the UK. Mariam Omar, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Mariam Omar, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Wa alaikum salam.
I suppose it's afternoon there as well, right?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sister.
Afternoon to you.
Madam, tell us about the state of the pandemic in the UK, because we understand that you come just below China, that is number 8 in among the countries that are most hit globally. Tell us about the state of this pandemic in your country.
Oh, it's scary. It is scary. At the moment, we are talking of 65,000 people. These are confirmed cases, and we've lost almost 8,000 people. Yeah. So it's very scary. And of course, the numbers are increasing. But we can see quite a lot of efforts going on. At the moment, we are in a lockdown. And this is so serious in that our Prime Minister is also in hospital because of coronavirus. So we are not taking it lightly. It's a serious matter.
Tell us about the social impact, Mariam, of this disease, especially in relation to domestic violence. Just to give some insight on that, Chelsea has gone into partnership, the Chelsea Football Club has gone into partnership with Charity of Refuge and Rescue Women, Children for Domestic Violence, right? And if I can quote the captain, Caesar, added that domestic violence is such a serious issue in the society and we must double our efforts to look after those in danger in this ongoing pandemic. Lots of domestic violence have been going on and have been reported in the UK since this lockdown. Would you mind giving us insight on that?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. There's been a rise in terms of people calling, seeking for advice. And here, actually, I'm talking of perpetrators. There's a helpline which is called Respect. This is solely for those people who feel like they were violent to their partners. So the numbers of calls to that line has increased by 25%. People calling, asking for advice on how they're going to control themselves. And this is because I would give maybe an example of a pressure cooker effect, because everybody is enclosed, like they're trapped in one place. And, like this is not normal. And people do have different characteristics. So this might bring clashes in between. And of course, we know in UK, it's been reported earlier that when we have our summer holidays, as well as Christmas holidays, we see a surge in numbers of divorce cases. And it means there's something to do with people being close together. Because during the summer holidays or maybe during the Christmas holidays, people don't go to work. It means they're living together, and that brings clashes. Yeah.
Interesting. Do we have, are we looking at the same situation in terms of divorce? Because so far we've only seen China recording the highest number of divorce cases since this pandemic started. Of course, they had, a city like Wuhan, they had gone on the longest quarantine so far, 2 months lockdown as a town. So do we have the same case, more or less the same as that in China in terms of divorce cases?
Actually, that was a red flag there because, like, as I said earlier, when people are confined in one place and they have nowhere to go, people do get clashes. And I also gave an example of our holidays, the Christmas holiday and summer holidays. But then actually the numbers which we see are going up. We cannot pinpoint direct to say it's because of people clashing. But then there is also the quarantine going on in the country, whereas cases are not being tackled by the lawyers. The lawyers are not able to go to their offices to work on this. So there is a pile up of older cases as well. So we do have two factors. One, it can be because the lawyers are not able to go to work and there's a pile up of cases, and the second one might be what I talked earlier about, people being confined in one space. They feel trapped, and they bring that pressure cooker effect of, erupting when it's too much.
Nice. Mara, before I let you go, being in the media industry, the media has been accused of causing panic by the way they're relaying information to the general public regarding this pandemic. What's your take on that?
I wouldn't say it's panic, actually. It's information. We are doing a public service to the people. Because if we are not there, and actually, even when we are doing this public service to the people, we are also endangering ourselves in that, we are putting ourselves out there and there's this virus. So what we're doing, we are trying to let people know what's happening, make them aware of what's happening. For example, if the media was quiet, would anybody know what's happening? The spread would have gone really far. So I wouldn't take it the negative way. And I'm sure all respected media houses are not doing it on purpose to make people panic, but they're trying to give people information and make sure that people know which way to go and how to protect themselves.
So you feel the information that it's being relayed, it's in the best way and not necessarily causing panic. Don't you think the same information can be given in a more positive manner? Instead of talking about the mortality rate, you can talk about the 79% of recovery rate. Don't you think that can also work? Actually,
no. You can't avoid to mention what's negative. We do mention about the recovery. Like I do have numbers of recovery. I mean, the whole world at the moment, the infected cases are over 1.6 million, and we do have 356 people, 356,000 people who have recovered, yes. And this has been mentioned. And of course, we cannot avoid to say the number of people who are dead, because that's the reality. So we are balanced. And the problem is people don't want to see the balance in it. They just want to see the negative effect. And I wouldn't say us mentioning numbers of the dead and the infection is negative. This is making people also aware in a right way. We're also talking about, we have quite a lot of public service programs we do to show people how to protect themselves. So if people put all this into account, they know that media is playing quite a vital role in trying to control this virus.
Thank you so much. That was Mariam Omar from London. Thank you so much, Mariam, for your insight. We really do appreciate it. Thank you so much, Mariam Omar. Sante sana.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was Mariam Omar from London giving us insights on the same pandemic, but from a different view. Qadi Sukian, we're going to come to you before we head over to Canada to talk to the nurse, Dennis Simiyu. Going over to Canada. Just before we go on a very short break, Qadi Sukian, we're looking at the social impact of this COVID-19. And of course, China has recorded the highest number of divorce cases so far globally, and we've had Mariam Omar from London telling us about the situation more or less to be almost the same in UK, London to be precise, based on this lockdown and quarantine and self-isolation. Qadi, a lot of people in this country have been going on this divorce because of lack of time between the couples. Or the guy is absent, he doesn't have time for family and all that. Now that the government has provided time for the couples, should we expect different results?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Thank you very much, Brother Faisal, for giving me this opportunity. And thank you so much, Horizon TV, for this platform. First of all, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us, all of us,
Amen.
The entire world from this plague which has challenged the entire world. It is with the power of Allah, it is testing us, and Allah who brought it has still power to remove it. It's our prayer that Allah will remove this, inshallah ta'ala. The plague has affected everybody, or everything, entire life. Not only the social impact, but everything, including, more importantly, our ibadas. Today is Friday, and our mosque has been closed in the last 4 weeks. It's quite, really, really very sad. It's true that the plague and the lockdown of the activities by the government in intervention, in a view to intervene the plague would obviously have a social impact. And in my view, that social impact can be positive and also as well as negative. How is it positive? It's good that we as Muslims to have a faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that whatever happens, which we see it, view it physically as a negative, perhaps it might have some positive in it. And we look at it from a positive side of it. One of the positive that we have is that people have been running up and down, mainly for the families. People have been very busy. Today, people have got time with their families, with their children. Most of the time, our children are with the teachers, right from 5 maybe or 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening.
Yeah.
We are not encountering with our kids. But today, the parents are there, and the children are there together. So it's an opportunity for the parents and the children to interact, and also the parents to give what they could give as a parent to their children, their families. Some of us are spouses and couples. We hardly have time for each other. But today, alhamdulillah, we have time for each other. This is a positive aspect of it. There's possibility that we expect a negative impact of the lockdown. Mainly, when people are together, just pick one item. When people are together for a long time, there's possibility of picking up some negatives and the shortcomings of the others, which could maybe degenerate to something worse. May Allah forbid. Okay? Therefore, these are some of the things that we anticipate and expect by the end of maybe the lockdown. We might anticipate a lot of cases. That's what we think.
Thank you so much, Qadi Sikari. That's why we're going to go on a very short break, but please do not go because you're going to be back. We still want to know more. Qadi Sikari, my next question to him is going to be, and I'm sure you're going to be very much interested. A lot of Muslim ladies have been complaining about secret nikah, secret nikah, secret polygamous marriages, that the men go out and do the nikah without informing the first wife. So this happens quite often. With this lockdown, a lot of such cases are being exposed. So that's going to be my next question to the Qadi Sukan. And we'll be waiting as well for your feedback on that. Do you think this, what do you think about the social impact, the social impact that has been caused by this plague? 07547077707 is our call-in live. 21951 is our SMS line. We'll be waiting to hear from you as well as soon as we come back. Don't you go away.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Are you finding difficulty to find us on Azam decoders? Rescan your Azam decoders and find us on channel 008. Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
On the next episode,
Kadari za Mwenyezi Mungu ni al-adha. Kadari ya Mwenyezi Mungu Subhanahu wa Ta'ala ni magonjwa. Kadari ya Mwenyezi Mungu Subhanahu wa Ta'ala ni hofu, juu, ni naqsin min al-amwali wal-anfus wath-thamarat. Chombo cha pekee cha kukuwezesha wewe uweze kubeba mazito ya kadari ni subra tu peke yake. Huna nguo ya subra, huwezi kubeba lolote katika mambo ambayo Mwenyezi Mungu Subhanahu wa Ta'ala atakukadiria. Manake kadari yaweza kujia kwako moja kwa moja, na kadari yaweza kukujia kwa anayekuhusu au kwa linalokuhusu.
You're watching Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back to 1951 is our SMS line. You can engage at 0754-707-707. This is our call in live. Call us in. We'd like to hear from you. And Auntie Mariam, I'm going to come to you. Miss Mariam, I'm going to come to you. Rukia Muhammad, sorry. I'm going to come to you, Miss Rukia Muhammad. I'm going to come to you and ask you. We've heard from Mariam Omar in London saying that the media just need to say things as they are. Put it as it is outside there. No need to actually just give the information the way it is, basically. Yeah. Don't you think the same information that it's being given is what's causing panic, or is there a better way of doing it so that to make your work as a psychologist easier, or what can you do as media, or are we just doing fine?
The situation as it is now, as we can see, people are already in a panic mode. Some are in denial, some are having anxiety. So it's as if, like, when you talk about there's a fire somewhere, then you go and add petrol on top. That's kind of an effect. So I think at the moment, in order to help our people to deal with this issue later in a better way, it's good to like give encouraging messages, like how many people are recovering, you know, because if we add salt into injury, it doesn't make it better. But again, also on our part as psychologists, what we are trying to do, also working with community leaders, is to teach them how to deal with this issue and also how to make things better. For example, like if you get someone who you know who has this issue, how do you help them better? So we are trying to help them to know what are the kind of things they can do to make it less worrying, or the anxiety levels to go down and all that, so that as we move on, they deal with it better, and the impact, because what we anticipate later is that this pandemic will cause a lot of mental health issues later. So if we try and mitigate the damage now, then in future after this, then things are going to be a bit better. People will deal with it better. But when we add salt into that injury, then again it makes things a bit tough.
Thank you so much. Qadi Sukyan, again, the question that you just went with on a break. Before you go on to Canada to talk to Mr. Dennis Simiyu, who is a geriatric and the co-founder of Tamaduni Foundation. Qadi, a lot of secret marriages, this is the time they are being exposed. The first wives were not notified about these marriages, and it has been one of the cases on the front that have led to the increased number of divorce cases in China, infidelity basically, and cheating and all that. What's your take on that, Qadi Sukyan?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. It is true that sometimes God may bring, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may bring something for a purpose. Maybe this might be one of the time that those of us who have double standard, let me say, who do not address things in a straightforward manner might be exposed. It is true, secret marriages are there. It is all over. We have seen many of them, and it's happening. Men find it very convenient. Ladies are a bit difficult to accept multiple marriages. Not ladies who are not married. Those who are already married, it's difficult for them to get a partner or a co-wife. It's a bit difficult. So, some of men have been forced, or because of their own weaknesses, have thought secret marriage is the way to go. Obviously, during this time, some of such men will be exposed. And we anticipate a negative impact of the same. We will find many ladies filing cases. That's our anticipation. So far, alhamdulillah, I did not receive any such. My contacts are there, although there is a lockdown, not 100% lockdown for the courts. We are operating. Our contacts are there, online. We do receive calls here and there. We do receive calls of complaining domestic violence, even calls of the divorce and others. But anything to do with the secret marriages so far I haven't yet received. Perhaps my colleagues might have received it. But this is one of the things, even we as Cardis on platform, we are saying that actually, this is a time when many men will be exposed. And we will expect by the time that Allah will take us out of this, many cases of this nature. Thank you.
Qadi, Sheikh, is it enough grounds for someone to seek for a divorce, for a lady to fight for a divorce, if it happened, maybe a secret marriage, the guy went out of the way and performed the secret marriage? Is it a reason enough, grounds enough for someone to seek for a divorce?
It is not. Secret marriage, first of all, before we go to that, whether the secret marriage is a valid marriage or not. If the secret marriage have met the requirements of the valid marriage, then that's a valid marriage, and any Muslim lady who discovers that her husband have secretly married to a second wife will not have any valid reason apart from emotional reasons, okay, to succeed in that case. But of course, morally it's not very good. Morally, it's not very good. Socially, it's not very good for a husband hiding his extra relationship, which is illegal, from his lawful wife. As a man, you need to be brave and strong enough, if you want to do something which is legal, to do it openly. And the secret between lawful and unlawful in Islam, especially in marital relationship, is exposing it or doing it openly, not secretly. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Qadi Sufyan. And right now we'll be heading to Canada to talk to Mr. Dennis Simiyu. He'll be joining us. He's a geriatric and health professional in Canada and the co-founder of Tamaduni Foundation. Dennis, it's morning, I suppose, in Canada. Good morning, Dennis.
Good morning. How are you?
Salama sana, Dennis. Thank you so much for coming in, Dennis.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. Most welcome.
Dennis?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can get you clearly, Dennis. Karibu sana. Welcome so much. Welcome to Live Real Talk, Dennis.
Yeah, thank you.
Karibu sana. Now, Dennis, as medics in Canada, because you are a medic, of course, Kenyan, but based in Canada. So as medics in Canada, how are you handling the virus? Bearing in mind that you are having at least now 20,000 confirmed cases, correct?
Yes, we have about 20,000 cases spread across Canada, and the numbers vary differently depending on the region. Mostly on the eastern side of Canada has been impacted a lot. That is in Toronto and Quebec cities.
Okay.
In the western side, Pacific side, it's more or less of just under 1,500 in Vancouver, that is BC, and Alberta.
Nice. So how are you handling those cases? Because again, as I repeat, you have 20,765 cases. You have 509 total deaths. That's making it to 12% mortality rate, and the recovery of 5,311. Right. That's around 80 something percent recovery rate. Active cases stand at 14,945. So how are you handling those cases in your country?
So, we're from what the information we're getting from the Ministry of Public Health is they are focusing on the most impacted communities. This will be more on people, the older seniors in the community. So those are the guys who have like more comorbidities. They have other diseases like CHF. They have diabetes and other conditions that will make their disease trajectory to go down. So they have curbed on those areas, and they're looking at places that people who are people who live on the street. So people who don't have shelter. Those guys, if they get COVID-19, they'll probably just go down very quickly. So they are really focused on key areas, and actually, the first priority is to make us healthcare workers to be more safe. So they have provided us with more equipment. They have given us a lot of education, and there's a lot of updates every day on how to prevent ourselves and how to make the community way safer. So the government has really poured in a lot of resources from helping families who are living at home to receive, like right now, they're giving them bi-weekly checks for people who don't have employment, just to keep them at home. Okay. And that is to help out with social distancing. And I have to applaud this country. People are very, they're very easy to okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll say Canada for now. People are really following regulations when they're saying social distancing. They're actually keeping 2 meters apart, even in the parks. Yeah, and so with those guys who cannot observe rules, they are giving actually fines right now. So they'll look at if they're gathering of 2 or 3 people in the same place. They'll come and look at your IDs and look if you're coming from different addresses, and they'll actually give you a fine. Yeah.
Dennis. Yes. Would you mind just holding in there, because we got in a live call. Maybe it's a question for you. Got in a live call, so would you mind just holding in there, because please just hold on there. Horizon TV, hello. Horizon TV, hello. Horizon TV, hello. Dennis.
Yes. Oh yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, Dennis. I wanted to ask you, being a Kenyan origin, coming from Kenya, tracing your roots back in Kenya, of course, and of course, I assume you have been following what the government is doing regarding this pandemic. So, what's your take as a medic, as a professional in this field? What's your take on how our government and our medical practitioners are handling this case right here at home?
What you can say is, of course, they're trying. I'll look for the case in point. I'll look at Mombasa. I've seen the governor there is really doing a good job. He's really giving out unified information. But I'll say it's better if you get the information from the experts. They have to consult it from the experts. Give the experts the front line. Give them the opportunity to voice out these things to the general public, things that are factual. Okay, for instance, I see guys wearing N95 masks in the streets. Those things are expensive. If you can leave those for frontline workers who need them, that is even better. So I would say that they should have a unified information coming from the from the president, coming from the public health practitioners down to the general public. They should have unified voice. In that case, it's easy to implement on that. But if you have fragmented information, for instance, someone in Mombasa is implementing different public health rules than the one in maybe I'll say Western Kenya or Turkana there. So they should have a unified voice for that. And they should have priorities on how they are doing their on how they're handling this. Particularly, they should protect the healthcare workers
Okay.
because those are the people who are needed most. And the government itself, I think it should pour in a lot of resources to people. I feel like, given that Kenya is a third world country, not so many people can go by the day. They live hand to mouth. So the government has to give enough resources to these people. And when they say self-isolating, how is someone going to get food?
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dennis Simeyu from Canada. Thank you so much for making time. Dr. Rukia, we woke up to, last night we slept with the very horrific news. Before you go on to China to talk to Shadrach Masiga, who's an artist based in China, we slept with the very sad news that Africans specifically who are in China, they're being harassed by the citizens of the said country, saying that these recurrence cases, because of the past 24 hours, China has recorded 46 new cases. So they're saying these new cases are brought about by foreigners. Take us through maybe the probable psychological journey of the families who are based in this country, in Kenya. Dr. Rukia, very briefly.
Okay. This case of the people who are being harassed in China, you're talking of China, yeah?
Yeah.
It's a case of stigma, we can say. And stigma usually, it brings up discrimination. And maybe because of people have that fear that these people maybe will infect them, or maybe they are presumed to be having some infection, or maybe because of the fact that now the statistics are going up here in African countries.
Yeah.
But what we advocate, and which is what also we would advocate maybe to the media when we are talking of, so that we don't stigmatize, let's talk of, yes?
We've had these cases that are happening in China. These people have their relatives back in the country who might be going through some horrific times, they are worried about their relatives who are in China. Have we tried to reach out to them, the families who are here, and see what we can do best to try and support them?
The ones who their people are in China and the family members are here.
Yes.
We are telling them to reach out because the numbers of the psychologists are out there. The ministry also has hotlines.
Okay.
It has some government employees also who are counselors. So the families can reach out and they'll get psychological help.
Okay. Thank you. Now we're being joined by Shadrach Masiga, an artist who is based in China. Shadrach. Hello, Horizon TV. Horizon TV, hello, just before you talk to Shadrach. Hello, Horizon TV.
Yes,
Horizon TV, hello. Hello, Horizon TV. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Yes.
Horizon TV, hello.
Yes, it's from.
Sorry, I can't get you clearly, sir.
I think good.
Sorry, we are having problems with that network. So we're going live to China. Shadrach Masiga is online to talk to us from China. Shadrach, how are you? Hello, Shadrach. Shadrach Masiga, an artist who's based in China and has been there for 4 years now. Shadrach Masiga, good afternoon, sir. Shadrach Masiga? I guess we're having problems getting to Shadrach Masiga. Qadhi, I'm going to come to you. Again, looking at it socially, the social impact of this. There are families that are obviously celebrating, of course, with this plague that they're having time for themselves and all that. What might be your advice to the rest of the families during this quarantining period and an opportunity where they are working from home and they're having a lot of time to themselves? So what Sheikh Qadhi Sukyan, what might be your advice to them? Qadhi Sukyan.
Thank you so much, Faisal, again. My advice during this period that we have time with our families. This is an opportunity that we reborn again. It is the sunnah.
Hello?
Qadis, I'm going to have to hold you there. HorizonTV, hello.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Kwa nataka niulize Sheikh.
Sorry?
Kuna fatwa ilitokea Marekani kwamba tunaweza kufanya Jumaa nyumbani raka mbili. Inaweza fanyika?
Sheikh, naomba urudie tena swali lako.
Nauliza Sheikh.
Naam.
Tunaweza swalia nyumbani Jumaa raka mbili.
Okay, sawa. Unaitwa nani, unapiga kutoka wapi?
Naitwa Ali.
Kutoka wapi?
Nairobi.
Kutoka wapi?
Nairobi.
Okay, shukran sana Adan. Jazakallah khair. Asante sana Sheikh, atajibu swali lako.
Inshallah.
Naam. Sheikh Qadis, you are giving us advice, giving the couples advice on how to cope during this quarantining period.
My advice to the couples at this time, during this time, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us an opportunity to reborn again. And this is a time to renew our relationship. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, normally whenever he has an opportunity this time, kana fi mihnati ahli. He used to help his family in the activities of the house. In the house there are a lot of work. It doesn't mean that the work is only outside there. There are a lot of work in house. Therefore, it's time for us to reborn again, to work together, to renew our love, to be close to our kids and children, have real time with each other. It's quite unfortunate still, while we are together in home, it's still the media, the challenge of the technology is still with us. Perhaps people are busy with their telephones and with tablets and iPads. Okay, we need now to change that one. Bond physically with each other. That will help also psychologically that we are relaxed. Okay, therefore people need to relax, to be so much close with the media or following the news of the plague, but rather be united again, to reunite a family, give the services to the family. The kids want tarbiyah, the family needs tarbiyah. We can educate. This is a time when we become with, be a teacher to your kids, to your family. So this is my advice. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Dr. Rukia, maybe you give us your parting shot, please.
Okay. What I would advocate is that people at least try and take enough rest. Try and also practice breathing exercises when you feel that you're anxious. Then also for all of us, let's give encouraging messages. Let's kill the stigma. Let's refer to these people not as COVID cases, but rather people who are living with the coronavirus. Let's use messages that are encouraging and keep on washing our hands, social distancing, and also stay home if you don't have to go out.
Thanks so much. I'm just going to go through very fast through some of the YouTube chats. Shadrach Masiga, we could not get you on Skype, but too bad, bro. Gonna play it though. Gonna play your clip that we had earlier on regarding the state of China. But you say thumbs up. Sante San Islam Part say Beaconforthenation. Fawzia Ali say Amin Shukran for the khutbah. Abdul Kassim, Mustafa Muhammad, Abdul Khandwala, Muhammad Mukhtar Abdullah say Amin, Amin, mashallah, mashallah. Adan Ibrahim, Ahmed Qadar,